Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome to Planet Noel, where we welcome all forms of life. Now, like I said, because I've already done two of these, I tweeted what kind of videos you'd like me to make for YouTube, my YouTube channel, and my girl at Niki's Riverdale wants me. She said, "Can you do a video on your top 5 favorite iconic scenes from Riverdale?" I had to write it down. Like, it's really hard because I mean, damn. Okay, you know, don't judge me, but I'm going to include the Barchi kiss because that's iconic to me. Okay, that is their first kiss, and it's iconic. Okay, that whole scene was iconic. And the Veronica kiss, that was iconic because I love them too, but also because the kiss went on a lot longer than I expected, and Archie and Betty's faces just made it so much better. So that was iconic. So I have to put those two in there. I know to some people that's probably not iconic, but to me, those two scenes, like the first Archie kiss and first Veronica kiss, and what followed and what was happening during it, those are iconic to me. Now, let's get into the really iconic stuff. Okay, I think the first iconic thing for me would have to be Dark Betty's first appearance. As we know in season 1, her and Veronica, with the help of Ethel, because it was her house, they lure Chuck in to make him confess to the book, basically slut shaming all these girls and doing this really shitty stuff. And we see Betty come out, and she's like, "Betty couldn't make it, so I came instead." And she is Dark Betty in this moment. And it is an iconic moment because when she comes out, all slow like, you see Chuck like, "You turned on." He turned on. He knows it. And her Veronica is like, she was like blown away, like, "Who the fuck?" Like, oh my God, you've taken it to a next level. That was iconic. The first appearance of Dark Betty and what followed when she was like just losing it, like with the freaking almost killing Chuck, that was an iconic scene. That would have to be my number one iconic scene. I love that scene. God, I love Dark Betty. I love that first appearance of her. Okay. Another iconic scene would have to be finding out Clifford killed his son. Now, honestly, I personally thought it was Clifford or one other person. I can't remember who else I thought it was. Maybe FP or no, or Hal. I I had one other person in mind, but Clifford was my number one who I thought did it because I just felt like he said that Jason didn't want to be a part of that life, so I figured like, then why don't you kill him so he won't tell anybody? So I always thought Clifford was the person, but I didn't know for sure, so I was still guessing. But when it was revealed that Clifford killed his son and we saw it with our own eyes, that was an iconic moment because that set the tone for what happened next. I mean, Cheryl finding out, her mom finding out, and then leading to Clifford hanging himself. Or so that's what the police are to believe, because that's what it looked like. He hung himself. So that was a very iconic moment. I mean, you're finding out that this father killed his son for basically no reason at all, except for he didn't want to be a part of your drug shit. Oh my God, like, really? Oh my God, I just thought of another iconic moment that I didn't add to my list. I'm so glad I just thought of it because it has something to do with the whole drug thing. Another iconic moment to me that I personally love is when we find out who the sugar man is. And it turns out to be that one teacher at Southside High who was like, he's not into gangs or drugs and he doesn't want Jughead to be a part of that. And it turns out he's the sugar man. And I'll never forget when he's being taken by the cops and Tony's like, "Oh, didn't you hear? They caught the sugar man." And Jughead and the teacher lock eyes, and Jughead's just so shocked, and the teacher's just like nonchalant, and I'm just like, "Oh my God!" Like, honestly, I didn't see that coming. I did, like, when they were looking for the sugar man, I wasn't thinking him. He didn't come into my mind as the sugar man. But that was iconic. What a great twist! Great twist, because you never would have thought it. And if you did think it, then you're awesome. But I never would have thought it. And that to me was iconic. That would be like my number 2 iconic moment. Like, that's what I gotta say. Another iconic moment for me is the incest twist. I know I'm supposed to do 5 and I'm doing like kind of a lot, but the incest moment. Finding out that Jason and Polly are related, and that's why Hal was so against them being together. Like, why wouldn't you say that to begin with? So then they stop kissing and hooking up, and then eventually she gets pregnant. I mean, you think Hal would have said something before they started having sex and kissing, like tell them why you don't want them to be together because they're cousins. So that was a twist. I mean, finding out that Jason and Polly are cousins and they basically are incest, that wasn't that wasn't iconic, but it was shocking. And it is an iconic moment, I guess, in the show because I mean, it mind blows, like blows your mind. Like I mean, ew, like ew. Like because people, I'm sure beforehand, like even I was like, oh, Jason and Polly, they're so cute, and then you find out they're incest, they're cousins, which they didn't know, um, but the what are they called? Blossoms did, and they had no problem with it. But it's like, ew, ew, like I shipped them, and then I found out they're related, and I'm like, ugh, gross. So yeah, that I had to mention. Okay, another iconic moment is this is a two-parter. Finding out Cheryl is obsessed slash in love with Josie was iconic. Well, I wouldn't really say it's iconic. I would say it's shocking, and it is an iconic moment because it does first tell you that Cheryl is bisexual. That's also the second part, Cheryl being bi. So that's an iconic moment because we realize that Cheryl is bi, and we also realize that Cher's a little crazy. I mean, we know she's a little crazy, but extremely crazy at this point in time with the whole Josie thing. I mean, making it look like it was Chuck, but it was her the whole time. It was just very creepy. So I had to put that in there. And one last one. Sorry, I know I did more than five. I haven't even kept track. I love in 214 the insult scene between Jughead, Veronica, Archie, and Betty. Now, Archie and Betty didn't really have an insult together, like they didn't really insult each other. It was mostly just Jughead, Archie, and Veronica, and Betty and Veronica. And that scene was iconic because they called at each all of them called each other out. I mean, Veronica called Betty out for role playing. Betty called out Veronica for always having sex. Jughead called out Archie for always being up Hiram's ass. I mean, just on and on. And that was iconic. Like, I love that freaking scene. If those people didn't barge in and they kept going, I would have still been like, I still would have loved it because it was iconic. That's an iconic moment. Like, I guess your definition of iconic might be different than mine, but that scene to me is iconic because they were extremely honest and they said it like it is. And I was so like, yes, 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 yes. Especially when Jughead was like, you're up Hiram's ass, Archie. Like, stop being stupid, because you are. So that was iconic to me. Um, and yeah, also, one little more is now this isn't really it is a surprise, but it wasn't. This could be an iconic moment, but finding out Hermione is the boss besides Hiram, because I'm pretty sure no one expected her to be the one Archie was going to meet. No one expected that. And we also probably didn't expect the FBI agent to not be an FBI agent and to actually be hired by Hermione herself to see if Archie would give in and to see if he could be trusted and be brought into the family or not. Like, oh god. That was iconic, shocking, like it was crazy because it was like, whoa. You knew she had a part in all this, Hermione, but to see that she's like, to hear her be called the boss and she set this whole FBI guy agent thing up, I was like, wow, wow. I expected Hiram, not Hermione. So yeah, I hope that answered your. I'm sorry that was more than five, but there's a lot of moments, and some of them I said aren't like iconic, but they kind of are to me, and they also are scenes that I always remember and I really like and love, and like I really do like the scene where where they're trying to talk Cheryl off the ice, and then she falls through, and Archie saves her, and he's banging, banging, hand bleeding. And he's like, he brings her back to life stuff. I do really like that scene because, I've dealt with suicide and suicidal thoughts, And so for me, that scene, the pain and how she was feeling and how alone she must have felt, it just really resonated with me. And I was just like heartbroken at that scene, but also I was glad that they were there to save her, that they came for her, they cared because they do care about her, even though she can be a bitch. So that was another scene that I just really loved and I hold dear to my heart. And it's a sad scene, but it's also an important scene to see because it shows you that you might think that she has this perfect life, or you might think that because she's a bitch, she doesn't feel anything, but that's not true at all. And it really showed a different side of Cheryl, and it showed also suicide or trying to commit suicide. And that's an important thing to show because it does happen. And they showed it in a realistic way. Thankfully, she was saved, where sometimes others aren't, but it was important that they showed it. So I just wanted to include that too. So I hope that answered your questions. I'm sorry it was long. I'm sorry if too long for you guys, but yes, that is my top 5 iconic Riverdale moments, scenes. More than 5 actually, but you get the point. They're all iconic, I'm sure. Yeah. All right. So